Hey guys, this next video is about setting levels at the start of your mix. Sometimes we just skip over this whole step and go right to our compressors, EQs, and all this stuff, but setting simple levels with volume faders really gets us 50% of the way there right up front. I'm going to show you some of my favorite methods to setting levels. Before we get into this video, hit the subscribe button for me. It would be greatly appreciated. Hey guys, welcome to Perfect Vocals Academy. This next video is setting levels at the start of the mix. You wouldn't believe how much further and easier mixing can be if you just started off with the faders. And this seems very simple, but sometimes we jump right to EQ, right to compressors, right to all that stuff, which I will say for vocal leveling, I do put some light compression before I start leveling because vocals have a huge dynamic range. But in this video, I'm going to be going over mixing instrumental stems. I've had some requests for this, and I know this is Perfect Vocals Academy, but you know, at the end of the day, we are mixing instruments to go with our vocals. So I wanted to show you how I go about mixing some instrumental stems and just setting those levels to where they're really close right up front. And this is usually something that happens within 10 to 15 minutes. You shouldn't really be doing this for a really long time because as perception changes, as time goes on, our ears start to hear things differently. You want to try to get a nice mix going in the first 20 minutes, maybe 30 tops. Okay, so first off, panning. You want to make sure that everything's just not mono. Obviously, that's pretty simple, right? So things like kick, snare, bass go right up the center. Things like guitars and keys are panned outwards. And then little elements in percussion, maybe some little trap hi-hats or some accent hits, can kind of be somewhere in between. It can be kind of just off-center a little bit, panned out. That's the rule of thumb. One thing I do is I like to use stereo widening a lot, and I'll show you. We'll dive right in right now. So I like to use stereo widening for things like guitars, things like keys. I use it as a trick to really open things up. Okay, so we'll take that sound, for example. Those are some bells. So we're going to get out the side widener. I've shown this many times. There's different modes. Let's try mode 3. See how it's kind of distant and in the center of the mix? It can actually sound really cool to take something like this and spread it. Now, you want to dial down this output because it does get louder. Now it's kind of on the outsides. That's before. So something like that can make a lot of room. You got to understand, there's a lot of real estate in a stereo image. There's a lot of room out in the outsides that we don't realize. If we're putting everything in the center of the mix, we're really just going to leave less room for the vocal, and everything's just going to fight one another. So anything that you can kind of spread out, do that. I already have the guitars hard panned. Perfect Vocals Academy presents the Vocal Mixing Masterclass. Do you want to become a profitable audio engineer? This course includes a PVA sound treatment ebook, 15 in-depth videos, as well as worksheets for each video. Bonus video, how to profit as an up-and-coming audio engineer, and a bonus Pro Tools template using Waves plugins is also included. Let's see what else we got here. By the way, this song is Karma by Slaz. Little plug there for my buddy. He's very consistent with putting out stuff, so if you like new music all the time, go follow him on Spotify right now. Same with something like this, like a synth like this. Let's put some widener on that. See, it was right in the center before. And even if it wasn't in the center, like directly, it still was kind of in the center, which takes up some room. Okay, so let's start building around the kick and snare. That is one of the best ways for setting levels to start the mix. So I'm going to Okay, so it's a kick and clap, actually. Okay, I'm going to mute everything except for the bass, kick, and snare. What we want to do right here is really just get them working together really nice. I want the kick to just hit slightly harder than the bass, because if the bass is too on top of the kick, it's really not going to have that punch in the kick. Now, I kind of pre-mixed these sounds, and these were like, you know, I picked really good sounds and got a really good bass tone and stuff like that. So, you know, obviously it's going to level maybe a little easier. You want to try to start with really good sounds, really good tones, and try to pick things that kind of mesh together. That's part of being a good producer. So it might not be as easy as this if you didn't pick really good sounds. So I'm going to bring in each element one at a time. Some hats. We don't want these elements to be louder than the kick and snare. That is the driving force. So we're just going to put these things in a good place to where the kick and snare and bass guitar are still driving. Let's bring in the guitars. There's an extra kick. You just want to do things that are tasteful, you know? Like things that are accenting, you don't want it to be louder than the main kick. Okay, sub drop. With sub drops, you want to keep in mind that that can really make the limiter max out in mastering, so make sure you don't have that too loud. Okay. Also, I made this production, so if you need productions made, maybe you're an artist, feel free to shoot me an email, john@perfectvocalsacademy.com, and I'd be happy to work with you. Yeah, so we're going to get these levels like this, and yes, you probably might still do some EQ and some compression, reverb effects, but we're just getting it really, really close. So when we do compression and EQ and stuff, it's just very subtle. Okay, guys, so let's talk about, we just talked about building around the kick and snare. So that's how I set everything. The next thing I want to really look at is the relationship between the kick and the bass. So this goes beyond just setting levels, because we set the levels. You want to check out where things are hitting. So let's see, bass. There it is. Okay, so I like to bring out an analyzer. Okay, so that kick is peaking at about 65. Let's see this other kick layer. Yep, about 65. Let's see where the bass is. Wow, right there at 65, part of it. So just bring out an EQ. Put it at about 65. Dip it out. And then where the bass is hitting elsewhere, about 100, just give it a tiny little boost at 100 just to beef it up. Narrow Q. Let's hear without that. Yeah, it's not really space for it. And then if you need the bass, if you need more of the bass, and just turn it up just a little bit after this. All right, then we also want them to get along in the mid-range. So let's check out the mid-range of the kick. Looks around 400 hertz. There's a, it's kind of lower mids, but we probably need to get them to mesh better in that area. So kick has that 400 hertz going on. So what we could also do is put an EQ on the kick, since we can probably live without that 400 hertz or a little less of it, and see if this helps. Yeah, it makes the kick less muddy, less woofy, and it lets the bass kind of come through a little more. Like, I can hear the bass a lot more now. Let's hear without. Yeah, it's kind of masking it. Let's hear without both of these. Yeah, they're kind of fighting each other. So yeah, getting the relationship right between kick and bass is such a huge step in mixing your beat stems. So lastly, I want to go over mid-range focus. Right now, the production kind of sounds like it's got just a lot of low mids, a lot of lows, and maybe lacks some mid-range. First, we want to find what has the mid-range. So let's say in this section, it would be the guitars. So we already set the guitars, but let's bring out an EQ. I'm going to bring out an API, and let's boost some mid-range. Okay, now I boosted 1.5 on both guitars, left and right, and then I boosted just 500 hertz in one of them. What this does is makes each guitar sound a little different, which makes it wider and more distinct, and they have like more separation because they're EQ'd differently. Let's listen without this. Now it's up front, and it carries the mid-range. Now, yes, you're thinking, well, I could just turn up the guitars. We did that. We could have did that in the first step. Well, not necessarily, because the guitars itself probably just needed more mid-range. Just turning up the guitars, you're turning up the high end, the low end, stuff like that that you don't need. So we're only turning up the mid-range part of the guitar. Cool, and then you go to a different section. Like this part doesn't have guitar. So we can add it to that synth. Maybe some 800. Maybe some edginess up in the 2.5. Without, it's just lacking. So you really want to pay attention to mid-range when you're setting levels to start your mix. All right, guys, that is it for this video. I really hope this helped. I know I don't cover too much of instrument mixing, which I plan on slowly dipping more into that and mixing that in with the rest of my vocal content. But hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment and tell me if you did, and if you would like more of this type of content, that would be great. Please check out the Vocal Mixing Masterclass. There is a link in the description. This will help you become a master at this craft. Also, get the free mini course. All I need is your email. I'd love to have your email to send you this free mini course, as well as upcoming videos that will be released. And I will see you guys next time.